Wow, so here you are, Songbird, your very first training module in the 10 Pillars of Successful Singing. Time to get in the saddle and ride off into the sunset. Well, not quite. First, we gotta train the horse. And that's what this series of videos on reverse engineering your success are all about. Pointing your horse in the right direction. I want you to be the master of your own fate, the captain of your soul. But you're not an island. It takes a lot of support from others who have gone before you. It takes asking the right people, the right questions, and following through with action steps. A lot of singers try to figure it all out for themselves rather than get guidance from experienced teachers and coaches. Trying to find the answers yourself will inevitably lead you to bad advice. Free videos on YouTube can be hit or miss, and it won't give you a personalized course of action. Without personal connection and correction from an expert, you will instill bad habits in singing, which could be career-ending. Our first responsibility as voice teachers and coaches is to maximize your time. We give you clear guidance, we give you constructive criticism, which, when implemented by you without taking it personally, will make you exponentially grow in your voice and in your performance. And it will put you on the right path to success in singing with clarity. Our second responsibility is to get to know your needs as a human being, knowing how far we can take you emotionally and vocally in the moment. A good teacher has the hard skills of technique. A great teacher has the soft skills of empathy and emotional guidance. In lessons, your only responsibility is to be coachable, to listen to the guidance of your teacher. Your next responsibility happens at home in your daily practice sessions, which we'll cover in pillar number 2, daily practice. Now, here are the primary things to consider when you're looking for a voice teacher or coach. Number 1, finding the right voice teacher or coach. Do your research to find somebody who's the right fit for you. Once you decide, be prepared to stay for the long haul. Choose one who understands the art and science of vocal technique. They should have a strong performance background in addition to being educated in voice. They can either have a degree or maybe with a certification as well. Okay, now following along with your checklist, research voice teachers in your area. You can start by asking other singers, or you can start also by checking online. But when you reach out to a teacher, ask them the following questions. What is their performance experience? Have they performed professionally? There's an old saying, those who can, do. Those who can't, teach. This is not usually true with voice teachers. Some voice teachers do choose to teach because they feel called to it. However, there are voice teachers who just never developed the skill to make it as a professional singer, and teaching kind of became a fallback profession. This shouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker for you because there are very gifted teachers who've just never performed professionally. But there are some specific skills and particularly a mindset that is necessary to guide and mentor you in performance so that you can achieve high-level performance. So if the teacher's never been there, it kind of begs the question, will they lead the student there? So that's up to you to decide. Number 2, what is their training as a teacher? Equally as important as their performance experience is their teacher training. Teaching and performing are 2 completely different skill sets. There are some truly phenomenal performers out there who know absolutely nothing about how the voice works or how to impart that kind of knowledge onto another person. But unfortunately, there really is very little instruction in the university system in the discipline of teaching singing, which is known as vocal pedagogy. There are a few decent programs in the US and some certification programs that are reputable, but literally anyone can say they're a voice teacher with no special training or certification. That's kind of scary, right? So when you're looking for a voice teacher, at the very least, they must have training in anatomy and physiology in regards to breathing and voice mechanics in their respiratory, vibratory, and resonating systems. They should have a deep understanding that each singer is incredibly unique in personality and in voice. They need to have knowledge of performance psychology. So if they've been teaching for a while, be sure to ask what type of continuing education does this teacher engage in to stay on top of their game. This is pretty important because the science of singing has seen some exponential growth and changes in the last 20 years, and this really shapes the way voice teachers should teach. Doctors, nurses, therapists, physical trainers, speech therapists, that's another degree that I have, accountants, lawyers, massage therapists, to name a few, are all required to maintain their certification by completing a certain number of continuing education credits every few years. So as a student, you should expect that same thing from your voice teacher. Number 3, what is their specialty? Just like doctors, every voice teacher has a specialty and likely a few subspecialties if they've been teaching for a while. Some teachers specialize in vocal technique, which is the physical coordination of singing, and in my opinion, every teacher should specialize in vocal technique. Others focus more on musicianship, sight reading, scales, phrasing, dynamics, that kind of thing. There are some who specialize in teaching different styles of singing, like pop, rock, blues, jazz, opera, choral music. Some teachers specialize in vocal health and rehabilitation from vocal injury. It's very important to match your needs with the potential teacher's specialty. On to number 4. Do they have examples of their students singing? So not all teachers are tech savvy, but one of the best ways to measure a teacher is by their students. If a teacher consistently produces healthy, strong voices, chances are they know what they're doing. Singing is actually very subjective, so one teacher may produce singers with a brighter, lighter sound, while another teacher may produce a warmer, darker sound. You're just going to want to hear several samples of the students, if possible, to get a good idea of what type of voice the teacher tends to produce. So if you like the way their students sound, then that teacher may actually be a good match for you. Another important thing to remember is that any teacher may actually have 1 or 2 really gifted students or 1 or 2 really weak students. You can't really judge the teacher by 1 or 2 students. The larger the sample, the better indication of what type of voices that teacher produces. Another important thing to find out is if they provide students with outlets for performance and competitions. This includes studio recitals, auditions for local and regional theaters, choirs, show choirs, other venues. Additionally, do they encourage the students to seek out performance opportunities on their own? Okay, now number 5, how long have they been teaching? You may have heard that experience is the best teacher. There really are some things that only can be learned by doing, and teaching voice is definitely one of those things. The voice is an extremely complicated instrument that's invisible to the human eye without medical instruments. So a great teacher learns over time how to use their eyes and ears to find clues about what's happening inside the body. This will help them diagnose an issue and ultimately find an effective solution. It can sometimes be a process of trial and error, but after hearing and seeing some of the same issues over the years, I and other experienced teachers can usually accurately assess and fix issues in a fraction of the time that a newer teacher can. That's just by experience. Another thing to think about when choosing a voice teacher, you can find a voice teacher for just about any price. Very tempting to shop on price only. If you're just looking for someone to help you learn how to sing an audition song for a local theater or choir, or maybe Jingle Bell Rock for a holiday party, that may be a good strategy. But my guess is that's not why you're here. If your goal is to pursue a career or long-term avocation or hobby in music, or if you're suffering from vocal health issues, it's extremely important that you study with an experienced teacher who matches your needs. A teacher that is more expensive and even has a waiting list didn't get that way by accident. You may learn more in 1 month of lessons with that more expensive teacher than you will in 6 months with a budget teacher. You do get what you pay for. Keep that in mind. That said, before you do commit to a voice teacher, even after extensive research, I definitely recommend shopping around. Try a lesson with 2, 3, 4 different teachers after interviewing them. It's crucial that you feel comfortable with your teacher. There are studies that show retention and best learning won't happen under duress or if you're feeling uncomfortable. So for the motivated and serious singing student, the relationship with your voice teacher is potentially one of the most influential you will ever have in your lifetime. So you want to be sure there's a level of trust like no other with your voice and performance, but also often with personal matters that you might only ever share with your loved ones. Now, are you ready for your very first mission, should you choose to accept it? Following your checklist, research voice teachers in your area or online. When you reach out to a teacher, ask them the questions that we covered. They're also listed in your workbook where you can keep track of all the information that you gather in your research. So congratulations, Songbird, for taking this very important first step in doing your research to ensure you end up with the perfect voice teacher for you.